Again, welcome to my third tutorial. Today I'm going to talk about a new concept in Java 8, which it should have been placed from the day one, back in the days of Java 5 or 6 when they came in. The biggest challenge for the programmers is to figure out what caused the null point exception, the challenge. Um, it's a challenge since day one in Java, but finally Java 8 took care of it. So the result is there is a class which is a final called optional was declared in the new Java 8 API, which is very welcoming for people like me who hate null pointers all the time. Um, so this concept of optional was basically derived from Google Guava uh, API. Basically, they were the one who were using it, but Java 8 incorporate this. It's a good thing that those APIs came before. Scala has some optional concepts, but Java added those beautifully. I'm going to show you with example that how this works. This is going to be a series of examples. Optional is a big concept, so I'm going to split this tutorial into 5 or 6 tutorials maybe to take a small step at each time and explain step by step how this works. So optional is basically a design pattern. It is not like a thumb rule which you can be used. It's a design. How you design your API. You want to design your API fluently. You want to use several constructional pattern, behavioral pattern, or any other pattern which you like to use. Can be supplemented with optional design patterns. So they're very powerful and very elegantly they mix into optional and stream. So let's get started. Before we start, I want to see if you understand the concept. For instance, if you have want to extract a call on a Java any hash map. So if you call map.getKey, if it returns null, if we pass in a parameter that is not in the hash table, so as a matter of fact, if the return value is null, so we don't expect that, because if the value exists and the key is null, it's not going to work. So returning null sometimes is not the best solution. So it doesn't tell us that if the key is present in the map or not. So this is how the optional was started to use. So the concept of this optional existed earlier too, but it was not described the way it is now. People used to write all the null checks, different collection APIs by third parties. They use that concept. Apache common collections use them all the time. It was not a part of Java. So Java thought, why don't we have this? And they added this beautifully. So let's get started. And I'm going to write a few examples here. Let's start with the discovery items. How do we discover optional exist? So what I'm going to do is let's have a stream of some integers. So I'm going to describe a stream of integers. So I'm going to write a stream of integer let's call it a stream, and I'm going to have this I'm going to call the stream of, and the values I'm going to give you 1 2 3 4 5. Now for those who don't understand why I'm using of here, stream API has a lot of methods which can produce stream, And there's one I'm very fond of is stream of, which can take varargs. That means I can pass as many as arguments, and it's going to give me a list of stream of integers. So this is how I describe it. Now I'm gonna write a test case here to see how that works. You want to see that optional in action. Is it that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find the max element of the stream. So I'm going to call max on it. Let's do max. Now what the max takes. So max takes a comparator. I'm going to use that. So I want this by the natural order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call a comparator, a static method on comparator, which has a comparator dot natural order. Yeah, here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this a natural order. So so by natural order, it tells me what it is. So I'm going to see if this test passes. Is 4, right? I know that. So let's see if this test passes. So here we have a stream of integers here, and I want to see get the maximum out of it by passing a comparator, which will be sorting them into natural order. And what this max does is he's going to pick the first element out of it and give me the result. I mean last element, sorry. So it's going to tell me, okay, what is the maximum element of it. So let's see this. I'm going to run this, what it does here. So you're going to see it failed. Now in the test block here, I see why it failed. It didn't fail for a reason that not prescribed here. It says optional test fail. It expected a 4, which is here, but it got an optional 4. What does that mean? Optional. That means the function on stream, when we call a max on it, it doesn't return an integer value. In fact, it returns an optional value. That means the 4 is not going to return 4 directly, but it returns an optional. So the way it is returning is it's wrapping the output into a wrapper called optional, because that wrapper absorbs the null values too. What if there's no natural order? What if I pass an empty string? Does it know? No, it doesn't know. So it wraps the return not to give the null pointer to the client. So it wraps it. So what I'm going to call is I'm going to call a get here. Yeah, see that? There's a get here. So now if there's a test here, I mean, I can do that test. I'm going to come that in later in the later tutorials. So I can write a test here which says, hey, if it's empty, don't get me anything, and if it's not empty, get me a result. So let's see, this should pass now. So run test file again. So now we're going to see that the test code passes. So this is how I write the code. So we discovered an item. Here we discovered that, hey, there was an optional embedded in this API. I didn't know, but by doing this, I could discover it. So this is the first part of the tutorial. I'm going to be writing a lot of code in the next few coming chapters about optionals. Thank you for watching, and wait for my next tutorial.